Yeah, because they have to do that. Our people don't.
And I made sure that they put everything in writing and copy Marty on the emails. So that Thursday come, he gets one of Cosby's attorneys on the phone, Jack Schmidt. He's like, Andrew has to go. He has to be fired immediately. And I was like, for what? He said, you went out and got social media influencers and nobody told you to.
They set you up.
And I had the emails, though.
Okay.
I had all of the emails. And I typed what he told me as he was telling me. And that saved me. And that's when I knew that I said, look, man, they're coming after him. And then he had to do a deposition with Allred in Boston. And this is 2015 for this civil case we just had in Santa Monica 3 weeks ago. And Marty walks in with Gloria Allred. They were acting like they hated each other.
Right.
Like they despised each other. And next thing I know, I said, they took a break. I said, let me go in the back hall. We're in this building, and I go in the back hall, and that's when I called Marty and Gloria on the back hall. He said, look, we're going to keep playing this, and I'm going to get him to settle. And I told Mr. Cosby, and the rest is history. That day he said, Andrew, when we get back to the hotel, he said, he's totally blind now. And he said, I'm going to leave Marty in the room, but I want him to turn off the lights. Because that's what Ray Charles used to do. Ray Charles would tell him, Ray Charles shaved in a dark room. He always tell that story. And Ray Charles, even when he fought a manager, he made him turn the lights off and he'll whoop him. And Cosby said, Marty and there, so I left him in the room and he said, hey, Marty, turn off the lights. Next thing I know, I see Marty running down the hallway. And Cosby couldn't get him, but he sent the message, okay? Right. And that's when I knew. I said, man, I can't guarantee you anything, but if you just hand it over to me, everything. I said, let me vet the attorneys. Let me just do it all. Private investigators, let me do it all. Let me cultivate relationships with the media. I'll go live in New York for whatever time. Let me just give me everything. And I promise you'll get to see that the ocean is blue. And you'll get to see a little bit to the bottom of the ocean, even though there's no bottom. But you'll get to see some clarity in your life. And he did do that. But, no one ever saw this criminal charges coming. We never saw that coming. And when this district attorney ran that campaign ad, that Willie Horton style ad, because he had been out campaigning, going to black churches, but never brought up Bill Cosby. Right. He just said that, hey, I'm going to make the laws fair. I understand this racial profile. I understand this the justice system, how it's unfair to black people. That was his campaign platform when he went to speak at churches and community groups. He never uttered Bill Cosby's name. And but when we saw that ad and we saw that he got a significant amount of money from Comcast that owned NBC, and we always say that my thing is that NBC stands for no Bill Cosby. Because he tried to purchase NBC.
Yep, I remember.
And so we just never saw. If somebody had asked me at the height of the allegations, do you see Bill Cosby going to prison? I would say, nah, never.
Right.
But going through that trial, man, I knew then, that 2017 trial, I knew that I was behind the scenes still. You just saw me walking in with him, guiding him. and just behind the scenes.
Right.
And it was something in me, and he said, Andrew, my story got to be told. And I need somebody to tell my story. And we were sitting in, he called it his suite. It was just a conference room inside the courthouse. And he was like, this is my dressing room. And he said, look, man, you can do it. Just go tell my story. And go tell what you're watching. You're watching it happen in the courtroom. And he was like, you're doing it behind the scenes. Just go out here and talk about it. And I was able to go talk about it. And I brought some life to it, to the point where found out that the jurors were sequestered, because this jury came out of Pittsburgh, Allegheny County. And they were sequestered the first trial in 2017. But found out that they were going to Target in the middle of the night, outings at the zoo, reading newspapers. And I said, you know what? People are listening. They are watching it. And that's when I found out family members were telling the jurors, like, hey, you got to check this guy out. This guy's putting some stuff out here. And then, like I said, you have to, in this line of work, man, if you think you're going to go live in some high-rise, bougie situation, and that's where you're going to win at, you might as well just cut your losses, man, and give up this profession, because it don't work that way.
Right.
You got to go and hang out in the streets, man, and get with the real people, get with the street committee, get with the people who know where the truth is at, and they know who's doing what. And they're connected to people, even connected to jurors. And I found out that the janitor, he was listening to everything. And the janitor heard the judge come in. When they had come back with a not guilty verdict, the judge made them go back in and start deliberating again.
So the jury said not guilty. The judge said nah.
The judge said no. Judge O'Neill was like, no. Man. Go back and deliberate more. And you hey man, you take care of people, okay? You got, that's when you have, because it's a dirty game. It's not a clean game. You know, yeah, I might wear the suit and tie and whatever and all, but this is a gutter game. It's a street game. And when they come after now in cases, man, I don't care if you're not a famous person. You have already been dragged through social media, because somebody's going to talk about a case. Believe it or not, cases now, people we've never heard of, we hear about these cases, and now we pass this judgment. And like I said, God judges us, so I don't have a problem with being judged, because we have judges. I just have a problem with people being overtly critical, you know. And when I found that out, I said, nope, he's not going to win on this game. I started calling the judge out. I started calling his wife out, who were a professor at University of Pennsylvania, who was the one that got Mr. Cosby's honorary degrees rescinded. The judge should have excused himself. He should have recused himself. He sat over his own recusal motion. I'm denying my own motion.
Wow.
Then he started calling me out in the courtroom. Yeah, Andrew Wyatt is saying this about me. It was all personal. And I knew then they had to fix in that. But, man, those jurors, they deliberated for 50 plus hours. It was the longest deliberation in the history of Montgomery County. And they came back with a hung jury. We left in that week, beginning of the week. We had to come back on a Saturday. They said the jury's hung. And I had promised Mr. Cosby. I said, look, I went to the King of Prussia Mall, and I went to the Rolex store. I said, man, I want to buy me a Rolex. You know, I want to get you out of it. I said, look, man, I want to keep it gangster some way.
Right.
So I'm getting something. I got to do something for myself.
Right.
And I went, he said, man, Rolex ain't good enough, man. I said, I want to get you a hung jury. He said, that Rolex ain't good enough, man. He said, they was the sponsor of I Spy, the Cosby Show, every season. The cats got Rolexes. And he was like, that, you know, hey, it ain't good enough for you, man. And then we got the hung jury. And then he called me up on my birthday. He said, "Man, I'm blind," and he gave me his watch.
Oh wow!
So and it's gangster.
Yeah,
it's a boogery, and it was a 2001 edition that he won at Sotheby's auction house. So, so it kept it gangster. And I told him, I said, "Man, whenever I'm not with you, I will always be holding your arm, and you will always be with me." Powerful. And so, and I wear it every day, man. And it keeps me on that foundation of being who I am and being true to myself, but also understanding, man, this fight is bigger than him now. You know, it's not about Bill Cosby. It's about every black man in this country. And they have this formula. And, you know, when we got that one, I never forget the judge over all the judges, when they said hung jury, his name is Andrew Delarici. He stood in the back of the courtroom and he looked at Judge O'Neill and the district attorney. He said, normally you'll say, well, let me go rethink this and see if we're going to be able to retry this case. He made him say right then, no, we're going to retry the case. And man, 2018 comes. I get Mesereau, I hire him. And I like Tom because I've been knowing Tom for some years through an attorney who passed away, Charles Savaggio, an Italian guy. Charles handled every criminal and drug case for every black person and got them off in Birmingham, Alabama. So what Tom would do, Tom would fly in from L.A. and all black people cases in L.A., him and Charles, for 20 years, they did them for free.